flat round pliers, and this is tapered, so you just go whatever size you want. And realistically, it only needs to be big enough around to go around the wire. So fairly small for me. Leave the end stick slightly past, and you're going to just roll that against your finger until you have a nice tight loop. Then squeeze that with your parallel jaw pliers. Make sure it's touching, and we'll solder that join. Flux. Place one piece of hard solder right where it's touching. And the same neutral flame that we used before. Gently warm it until the flux dries out. Once it's dry, 50 mil away, the solder will flow. You're finished. Quench this and we'll continue forming it. Now hold this with this loop vertical. And once again, we're using the rounded part of our planishing hammer on our little bench block. Hammer it to half its thickness. So this is what it looks like. Tidy up this end with your sanding stick. Put the hook on your bench plate with that loop up. Hallmark it. And then we'll form it. So now we're going to hold our hook, loop down, round bit of the pliers up here. You can make this a fairly large loop if you want, and we're just going to push the ends around so that they're equal and they meet. And then we're going to put our round bit of the pliers on the outside and bend that up just a little bit so that when we go to hook it on, it'll be easy to get the jump ring in there. So now that's our hook, and we'll take our open jump ring and put that on the end of our bracelet. I'm holding the jump ring in a third hand. The join is right up at the top, and you'll notice that the tweezer ends are as far away from that join as I can get it. So now we're going to put just a small amount of flux on the join, and at this point you can either place your solder on the join or you can melt a little ball of solder on the solder pick, which is what I'm going to do, and you can place it once you have this hot. So I'll show you pick soldering. The same neutral flame that we use for everything. Now I'm using a tungsten soldering pick. I place it on the far side of the solder. I put the flame about 50 mil away, heat the tip up red, touch it to the solder will jump over and stick to it. Now at this point, we go to our chain. Now you want your flame to be at an angle where the only thing the flame touches is the very end of that jump ring. So I'm just heating it up. The flux will go clear. I'll place my solder with the pick. It'll flow, and that's it. It's the easiest way to solder chains there is. Then I don't even quench it. I just take my tweezers, hold the next one, shift it up, make sure the join is up, flux it, small amount of flux. You don't need much flux for this one. Pick up your solder and your pick, put the flame on the join, touch it with the solder, and you're done. So it should literally take 5 minutes to solder all of the jump rings. So last one, quench this now and pickle it. So here's our chain. Check it for length. If you need to add length, just add more jump rings on the end. If it's slightly long, you can always just clip the hook into the spiral. Yeah. If you want it to look slightly different, you can squeeze these into an oval just by holding them in your parallel jaw pliers and squeezing, and put the join at the end. Now this will make it longer, so if it's the right length, don't do it. So it just changes the look a little. It makes it lay a little bit flatter, that rather than that. It's a nice chain. When you get to this point where it's all soldered and the right size, put it in the tumbler. Don't polish this on the big buffing wheel, or it'll take it away from you and break it and probably your fingers. So put it in the tumbler.